That really threw me for a loop.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Ben Wan from SuperHouse, and I'm here with Andrew.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
And riddle me this. Who is the most underrated Batman? The answer being Val Kilmer, because we just saw Batman Forever, and that is what this month's Batman movie revisit is about.
We finally arrived, and I don't want to make the audience wait anymore for this. We have to get right the fuck to it. Hit it, Ben! Oh my god, you guys.
Nostalgia kicking in yet?
This is the best song of all time. Is this better than Prince?
I think so, yeah.
I think that this song has more staying power than Prince's
Oh, yeah,
song.
it does. Nobody really remembers Party Man who hasn't, heard that. Here, I'll turn this off.
Or Bat Dance or something?
No. Nobody actually remembers it unless they're thinking about the movie. But Kiss from a Rose, people remember it regardless of Batman Forever.
Right. It's weird, too, because we just watched it like we did the other episodes, and it doesn't come up. It's not even the first song in the end credits.
No.
It's way deep in the
very end, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not even featured in the movie like it would be in the Burton ones when they try to incorporate Prince. You'd think they'd try to fit that in during the dance sequence or something like that, but it's not in there.
It was like it was an afterthought.
Kind of. I don't think they realized. I don't know what the process was when they came up with the soundtrack, but obviously they're like, this song's a hit. We should put this in the movie somewhere. Let's just throw it right into the end and be done with it.
Oh man, I'm glad we got that out of our system.
Yes.
So,
this was 1995 when this movie came out, and this was kind of the first time where we were both kind of the age to be seeing the hype of it.
yes.
I was 1 year old when '89 came out, so that wasn't it. And I was still too young for Batman Returns. Around 94 or so, they had the Warner Brothers stores. They opened a bunch of Warner Brothers stores. I was in the one in Costa Mesa, and I just remember being a kid, just wandering around, and they had a huge screen showing stuff. And then suddenly they just showed the Batman Forever trailer. And I hadn't seen anything. Because remember, this is pre-internet. You can't just look shit up.
You had no idea what was going.
I had no idea what was coming up, but
Yeah.
I knew there was going to be a new Batman movie. I knew the cast of it. I just hadn't seen any of the footage of it yet until I saw it, and I was transfixed. And the trailer has the Danny Elfman Batman theme.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay,
it is.
yeah.
Both the trailers for Batman Forever and Batman Robin use the Danny Elfman music.
Holy
so
crap.
I was like, holy shit, this brings me back to the 89 movie. I wanted to rewatch the VHS tape when I got home, and I was so excited. And we went to Costco a few weeks before the opening of the movie, and they're like, oh, here's the soundtrack. And I thought, I can finally get the Batman theme.
Right.
And listen to it, and we put it in, and instead of the Batman theme from Elfman, it's U2's Hold Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And I'm pretty sure I cried. But it wasn't until later that I came to appreciate that soundtrack, because it has everybody. And it's got Brandy, Mazzy Star, Offspring,
Brandy, oh my
Nick
god,
Cave,
dude.
Nick
Cave is on that
Nick
fucking
Cave is in
soundtrack?
it, yeah. Called There Is a Light. Michael Hutchins, if I didn't mention him already. Obviously, Kiss from a Rose. And as I was introducing to Andrew beforehand, Method Man did a song about the Riddler beforehand.
I had no idea. I did not have the soundtrack to this movie, so I don't.
Well, this was my second most viewed VHS tape.
Holy shit, really?
And this is probably the first live-action Batman movie I saw in a theater. Because
Okay.
I was still too young for '89 and Returns.
Okay, so I'm a couple years older than you, I think. So
Mhm.
I definitely saw Returns in the theater. That was my first one. So my Returns was your Forever, I think.
I think so, because I don't even remember. I remember going to see Forever. I don't remember seeing Returns.
Yeah, I saw Returns in the theater, and I saw, of course, Forever. And, I mean, man, I wish I remembered more from this time period. I mean, I remember having a lot of the figures, and I remember, of course, Jim Carrey. And but I don't know. I feel like there should be more I remember about this movie, but it just doesn't have as much lasting power as the Burton ones in some way. I don't know what it is. Even though I've always kind of had the hot take, and I've said before that I felt like Forever was better than Batman Returns, but I know I'm jumping the gun with the rankings a little bit, but I might be overturning my hot take. Not that I've come to hate Batman Forever. I still had a good time watching it just now, but and there's a lot of good things about this movie, but it's just not as good as those first two, I think.
Right. So let's just dive in then into opinions.
Okay.
One thing that I think a lot of people sort of overlook is the fact that this is kind of the first time they tried to make it about Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, they did.
Not as much as like the Nolan stuff. There was an attempt, but more so than like Kilmer in the first sequence has more lines than Keaton ever did in the first like hour of each of the Burton movies.
Yeah.
So there's a clear attempt to try to make it more about Bruce Wayne. And I was telling Andrew as we were watching it, and I was just like, you know what? For something that gets a lot of shit for how it portrays Batman, the actual Batman portrayal in these movies is actually legit. Like there's the stuff that people associate with the Schumacher movies that they hate about it has nothing to do with the actual portrayal of the Batman character. Which I thought was fascinating. What gets the people is the tone, the cartoonish nature of it. But even then, like if you know about the '60s show, if you come to appreciate like how Batman can be for kids and things like that, like it's not like I don't necessarily hold it against the movie for being cartoonish.
So the '90s, for if we have any young listeners out there, it's kind of known for being kind of a dark decade. People were super into dark movies. Matrix is a good example, Pulp Fiction, whatever you want to call it. So when these movies came out, people weren't like really in the mood for it. I think they really wanted Burton again, maybe. And I think it seemed like they sort of, this movie was a hit, right?
Yeah, it was.
But I still think you could start to see people's perceptions turn on the franchise, and then when you get to Batman and Robin, that's when it really took a nosedive.
Right.
But I feel like if those movies came out today, not changed much, people would accept them more for some reason, because now there is more acceptance than ever for Batman 66. And I think in the 90s, I was a kid, so my perception is skewed probably, but I feel like people did not want Batman 66 back then. People didn't understand it. They thought it was way too campy. But now people, maybe audiences are more sophisticated than they used to be. I don't know what it is, but you have like people that be like, okay, that's that Batman. Yeah. This is this Batman. We can have both. Both can exist in our world.
Well, look at how much Batman shit there is right now. You got Pennyworth on Epix. You got the upcoming movie with Pattinson. You got the upcoming Joker movie, which is not even like supposed to be related to that. You got the Batwoman show on the CW show, and also they just announced, and I fucking called it. They just announced, as of this recording, I should say, Kevin Conroy is coming to the Crisis on Infinite Earths on the CW crossover later this year.
I thought that was unbelievable, but then at the same time, I was not shocked.
Right.
Unbelievable that you called it, but not shocked that it's happening.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's had a weird...
So, there's so many different interpretations all at once, and I'm not even including Lego Batman. I'm not including the Ben Affleck version that we've been watching, or the video games and everything like that. So I think there's already a sense of like, okay, we'll accept multiple versions of this character.
Yeah.
As opposed to back then, where I'm just like, this was the only type of Batman media you could get outside of maybe the Batman animated series.
Some
on
Super
Saturday.
Nintendo games.
Yeah. But there was no like, oh, there's also going to be another movie and a TV show and this and that. Like there's so much more right now than there was back then, that you kind of had to take what you could get.
And it had this sense of there being just an absolute version, this definitive version. This movie is it.
It has to be it, because this is the only representation that we have of this.
Other than the Fox cartoon.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Let's dive in then to... I guess a couple of things I want to dive into before we get to that is... what people seem to overlook is this is the first time that we saw the different parts, different mainstays from the comics that weren't in the previous Burton films. One of those being Wayne Enterprises.
Yes.
I had never seen Bruce Wayne as the businessman that much before.
Right.
He was always kind of the recluse.
It's like an aloof rich dude.
Yeah.
That's it.
And then first time we saw the GCPD rooftop with the bat signal.
Yes.
We had already seen the bat signal in the sky, but we've never actually seen him show up to the rooftop. Now, unfortunately, there was no scene really. There's no conversation really between him and Gordon like there would be in the Nolan movies.
Right.
It was between him and Chase Meridian. We'll get to her later. It was the first time that you got to see like the giant ass bat signal and the expansive rooftop and everything. And then lastly, Arkham Asylum, and Arkham Asylum looks legit. At the end of this, it looks amazing. And he brings Arkham again in Batman and Robin, and I really like his take on what Arkham looks like, the very creepiness to it just from the outside. I like how his GCPD rooftop looks like. Like there's certain things about how I brought those elements to life that I do like, that I think people tend to overlook because they're too busy talking about the nipples on the Batsuit.
That's the thing. People look at that and they think that these movies are terrible, but like you're saying right now,
yeah,
there is a lot done right in this movie.
Mm-hmm. May even be one of the more underrated Batman movies, period, not just having an underrated Batman.
Right.
I think the score got kind of a bit of a flack because I remember sitting in the theater as a kid, and I'm like, I'm going to see a Batman live-action movie for the first time, and I had watched, obviously, 89 constantly, and I was expecting the Elfman theme. So imagine my surprise in the first few minutes when it was not the Elfman theme at all. Yes. And it was a completely different superhero thing. I'm like, what the hell is this? And I was bummed out. But to be honest, like, Elliot Goldenthal's score for this is a perfect match for this type of movie. It's got a whole mix of everything, because this has a million different tones to this movie, and he's able to just switch off. So he's got the action themes for the action. He's got the darker, more depressing music for like the flashbacks or the scenes where he's talking to Dick Grayson. He's got the weird, wonky 1960s type score going on every now and then when it's the big action sequences, and they don't really have this type of score anymore. You know, there's not really anything to the style at this point. Like if you listen to a lot of the soundtracks or scores, it's either something that's along the like Hans Zimmer type vein, or it's something very much around the same type of feeling in each of the Marvel movies. So this is kind of it fits this type of Batman. It's not my favorite theme personally. I do prefer the Elfman version and the animated series version, but for what this is, it fits.
I mean, it goes to show you that, what's this guy's name?
Elliot Goldenthal.
Elliot Goldenthal?
Goldenthal, yeah.
Goldenthal, okay, yeah. I mean, I never composed a movie score before, but it's just, we don't know this guy's name at the end of the day, like we know Elfman.
Yeah, not in the same way.
Yeah.
So let's dive in character by character. I do want to address the one character who's not from the comics first, and that's Dr. Chase Meridian.
Let's go with that.
So, Dr. Chase Meridian, honestly, I think it's kind of genius to give him a psychiatrist girlfriend.
Yes,
who's kind of a therapist who kind of is talking about duality and everything like that. I like that. I'm surprised it didn't really get incorporated into the comics. Chase did make it into the comics in 2013 in a 3-part arc in the digital series Legends of the Dark Knight, where she actually helps Bruce. She sort of helps Batman understand the Riddler while dating Bruce Wayne, and she helps put the Riddler away. And funny enough, the prosecutor is Harvey Dent, so you still kind of have Batman, Riddler, the future Two-Face, and Chase in the same story. It's written by Mark Guggenheim. Funny enough, Chase is she has red hair. Her skin tone is darker, which makes her look like a quote-unquote person of color. Mm-hmm. If you take offense to me saying that, then fuck you, because I'm a Chinese American, so I can say that. But
I think that's the correct way to say
yes,
it, isn't
okay.
it?
I don't know how to say it.
That's a POC, man.
Yeah,
I think that's what you're supposed to say.
I don't think they had the rights to Nicole Kidman's likeness, so that's why they changed it or something like that.
But it happened a lot back in the day. There was a Mission Impossible N64 game, and they could not get the rights to Tom Cruise's face.
That's dumb. But yeah, Chase did make it into the comics. I do think the idea of the character is a little underrated. I do think her trying to seduce Batman on a rooftop was way over the top, especially for something that seemed to be geared towards kids. But I mean, Nicole Kidman makes it work. She's hot in this. Hopefully, there were other things that they were going to give the character to do, which I'll talk about in another episode, and sort of was supposed to give her more depth than just her trying to, use her body to seduce Batman. On a thematic level, Meridian. Do you know the Prime Meridian on the globe. That's
my
the
God.
middle.
Okay,
Okay. The reason why she's named Chase Meridian is because he's chasing the middle. He's chasing the balance between his two sides. That's
They
why.
thought that deeply for Batman
It was.
Forever.
Yes, it was.
Wow. Okay. All right.
So some appreciation for Chase Meridian. She is kind of underrated as a character. Not a lot of people talk about her that much, and I can see why, because she doesn't really give that much to do. But I like the idea behind it.
I mean, look, this is one of those forgotten characters.
Yeah.
Most people don't even remember who she is. They're like, and she had a poster.
She had her own poster,
she had
yeah.
Up with Batman, Robin, Jim Carrey, and Two-Face. Like, it's just weird. It's like she's an addition to the Bat mythos that I think I could see more of. I mean, she was a cool character, and like you said, him having a psychologist for a girlfriend is such an intriguing idea. And they did hit on it not as much as they could, but at least they exploited that factor in the movie at least a little bit. I feel like, with if it was a better movie, it would have exploited it a little better. But
right.
I liked it for the most part. And yeah, Nicole Kidman's looking great in the movie, and I don't really have any complaints about Chase Meridian. Really, I mean, she was fine.
I think what's interesting is that she's probably. Look at all the other quote-unquote therapists in the Batman mythos. You got Hugo Strange, you got Harley Quinn, you got nobody is actually
a lot of
legit
therapists going on. Yeah.
So to have her actually be a good person and everything, like a good doctor for once, because you got tons of mad scientists and shit that Batman's fighting,
right.
is kind of refreshing in a way. So that's all I got for Chase Meridian. Let's move on to the more important characters.
Yeah, I wish I had more, but I just do not like Chase Meridian.
That's fine. Yeah. Nobody's listening to this hoping that we have a lot of great insights into her.
Are they going to put her back in the comics in Rebirth like they're doing with Phantasm in 2020?
I don't know. She's not as in-depth of a character as Andrea Beaumont, so I wouldn't be surprised if the only time we've ever seen her in the comics is in that arc that I just described.
Okay.
You want to move on to Batman then?
Let's go to the title character.
Let's go to the title character. For one, because remember, Batman Returns, we talked all about the villains, and then at the last 2 minutes, we're like, oh yeah, Batman's in this movie.
That goes to show you, like, the kind of impression that these movies leave. You know what I mean? Like,
yes, but to be fair, this one has way more Bruce Wayne. It has way more Bruce Wayne. It's got more Alfred in it. It gives him an actual story or tries to give him an arc. So a few things that I appreciate about the Val Kilmer Bruce Wayne in this, the only time he played Bruce Wayne. This is the first time we get to see Bruce Wayne out in public as a public figure. We never really got that with Michael Keaton. In fact, he was more of a sort of mysterious character. Nobody knew who the fuck he was in the 89 movie. That's why Vicky Vale straight up asked him which one of these guys is Bruce Wayne. This is kind of the more preferred version of Bruce Wayne that I have over any of the other types. He's still kind of a playboy, like you saw in the Christian Bale version, but he's, unlike the Christian Bale version, he's a more of a responsible businessman. He's a philanthropist. There's a part where they talk about Nigma's boss's supposed suicide and that he wasn't on the insurance plan, and there's a bit where Bruce says, like, pay his family anyway.
I like that. Yeah, that was great.
So this is the first time we see him at the company. We see him on magazine covers. We see him as, like, being interviewed by the press, the media. He goes to the charity circus and everything. So this is very much the Bruce Wayne I grew up with the cartoons. So I like that. I like the exploration into the past. The killer in the shadows sort of hints at Jack Napier. He's the only Bruce Wayne we've seen in live action to look forlornly at the portrait of his parents. There's no photograph of the parents in any of the other past ones that he like looks at and broods at or anything.
So we get an awkward scenes with Fishy Swa or them having a long big ass table.
Right, but we never really saw Thomas Wayne outside of the flashback in the Burton movies.
That's true.
So this is kind of the first time where like he sees the picture. I'd rather it be the big, huge ass painting above the fireplace, like in the comics. But I'll take what I can get.
Yes.
They had a creative shortcut too. To you usually see the pearl necklace breaking and everything, and they didn't do that in this version. They did the roses.
Yes.
And I thought that was an interesting way to do a shortcut.
Was that just to be different? You think?
I think that was just to be different. There was kind of a weird debate about whether or not Batman Forever is in continuity with the Burton movies. Just because the flashback was a little different.
It's a soft reboot, right? Like they're just taking what they want.
It is a soft reboot, and then when I get into the script stuff in the next episode, you'll see just how tied in it was originally supposed to be.
Okay.
But they're like little callbacks, like the part where Dick's like, your parents were killed by a maniac, and Bruce is just like, yes, they were.
Right.
That feels like a callback to 89, because if he didn't know who his parents' killer was, or even if he did know it was Joe Chill or something, he wouldn't really call him a maniac, depending on that.
That's true.
Let's see. And to the man himself, I like the bat suit in this one. Everybody gives it shit for having nipples.
Which one?
The one that he's in for most of the movie.
Okay, not the final form one.
The final form one is a little too chrome silverish for me.
That's gonna shine in the dark like crazy. Isn't it?
But it also is kind of the precursor to the Batman Begins suit in a bit, because it's got the giant bat on the chest that isn't really colored.
It's not yellow. Yeah.
Also, that is the suit that they painted black over for actors to audition for Batman and Batman Begins.
The exact one?
The exact one. If you look at the audition tape for Batman Begins, you can see that it's basically the sonar suit from Batman Forever, but colored black. You can tell by the ears, because on the side of the ears, there's little like lines on it.
Yeah, and the mouth portion and the upper, like near the jaw, it's got this little like curve too that I think is not on many of the suits.
Yeah. So I like that Kilmer. I like that Kilmer's the Playboy Bruce Wayne type. I like that he is kind of, as Batman, he still plays it kind of like how Keaton did it, with the whole very much the like low voice sort of. He's a more talky version of the Keaton version, but he still comes off as very. That's still got that stoic, strong demeanor to him that I like.
Yes, I agree.
And he just seems a little bit more intelligent in this one.
He knows what's going on most of the time.
Yeah, like how he's figuring out Riddler's stuff. He's talking about different things over and over. And I'm just like, okay, I like this one. Which kind of leads into the debate, Keaton or Kilmer.
It's tough, man.
Yeah.
How do I say this without pissing everybody off? Not that I even care to piss everybody off or not, but there was a part of me that really likes Kilmer, actually.
Yeah.
I feel like if maybe the perfect combination for a 90s Batman is actually Kilmer in the Burton movies, if I had my say.
Yeah.
Not that I really love Keaton. He is my first Batman.
Mm-hmm.
But, man, I don't know what it is. Like, Kilmer has such a... He seems like there's so much going on under the surface.
Yeah.
More than Keaton, I think, and that's what gets me about Kilmer. Kilmer's good at kind of like, I don't know, just watching this movie, you only get to see what he wants you to see when he's Bruce Wayne.
Right,
But as an audience member, he's also really playing with that. Like, there's just so much there, and he wants to show it to at least chase it one part, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know, but like there's more mystery to Kilmer. There's more mystery, I think.
Yeah. He plays off the duality more.
He's more fucked up. You
Yeah.
You can see he's like kind of covering up some trauma.
Yeah, because he's
his
dealing
eyes.
with that shit. Yeah, they flat out saying the DVD. There's like a DVD featurette about casting Kilmer, and they said like you look at him and you're not really sure what he's thinking.
That's
what I really
part
liked
of
about
what
him.
I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah, exactly. So I'm like, he gets, Kilmer is one of the more underrated Batmans because nobody really talks much about him. That's
There's
why.
a sketch about
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah.
this sketch. Like, remember this guy? He played Batman. George Clooney.
No, the other one, Christian Bale.
Affleck?
Yeah, I'd love it was George Clooney.
Yeah, exactly. That's the sketch. Yes, everybody forgets he was fucking Batman.
That's from what is it called?
Workaholics or
No. It's from that one with Warwick Davis. Life is Short or something.
Oh my god, dude! We both saw it and we both forgot. I have no idea.
It's the same show where Liam Neeson goes on and tries to do comedy, and he's like, "I'm riddled with AIDS."
What?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Those are the most famous parts from that show. But
anyway, yeah, Kilmer killed it.
He's more believable as a Playboy Bruce Wayne. He's almost more believable as a fighter, even though he doesn't really. Like, there's some stuff where you can tell it's the stunt man in the bat suit, but same thing with Keaton. But there's stuff where
that's okay, man.
I think the action sequence. We were watching it, and I was like, is it just me, or is Kilmer's Batman a better fighter than Keaton's?
They had gotten better at shooting fight scenes or
I think
something
so too,
because 95 also was the year Mortal Kombat came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember even as a kid I was like, this is the pinnacle of fucking fighting in American movies right now. So maybe they took a page from that, like that was in the air at the time.
Maybe,
I don't know.
yeah.
But yeah, the fighting is better, and it's just one of those things that gets overlooked, like you said, because of the nipples on the suit.
Yeah, so everyone counts it against that, but and lines like "I'll get drive-through." I'm like, okay, well, you can't really blame that on Kilmer that was in the fucking script.
No, it's not Kilmer's fault. It's fucking, the screenwriters.
Kiva Goldsman.
Or not even the screenwriters, it's the producers, right?
It was really the McDonald's, really.
McDonald's, yes, it's the money behind
when I
all this shit.
Yeah, I was telling Andrew as we're watching it, even when I was 7 and I was watching this and I saw that I'll get drive-through was part of the McDonald's commercial, I was like, oh, that's funny as a Batman commercial.
Yes.
And then I saw the movie, and then it was in the beginning of the movie. I'm like, what, this is an actual movie? And I'm 7 years old, and I'm already picking up on this.
Yes.
Like, that's kind of weird.
I'm not liking this.
In the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kilmer versus Keaton it's a tough call, really. It's really weird for me because it's like I don't. There's something that's holding me back from ranking Kilmer wholly above Keaton. However, it's not. I can't really place what it is.
Well, Keaton is in better Batman movies, straight up.
It could just be that
Kilmer
case.
is such a good fucking Bruce Wayne Batman.
He could have killed it if this was a trilogy with Kilmer in all three.
I hope he comes back to the MCU or something. They could use Kilmer again.
He's going to be Blunt Man in the Jane Silent Bob reboot.
I can't wait. I love that. I forgot about that. And he's also he's he gained a bit of weight over the years, but I believe he's lost it again because he's in Top Gun 2.
Well, yeah, he also had throat cancer.
Oh, he did. Well, there's also that
affected his voice. So I don't know how much he's going to be talking in either of those movies, either Jay and Silent Bob or Top Gun 2.
I did not know that. Okay,
he'll be. Right. Yeah, his voice got fucked up. Like I saw the interview and it was heartbreaking, really, because he could barely talk. It sounded like a voice box thing, but I don't know. I think he was still in recovery at that time.
What a bummer.
But he's good in this. I don't know, honestly, in terms of ranking wise. Like, I kind of want to rank him with Keaton, but there's some element to Keaton other than the movies. I don't know if it's just like the eyes that he gave, the intensity in the suit. I'm not sure, but it's a very close. It's a very close second.
Surprisingly close, right?
Yeah.
Depends, seeing as how different the movies are, the movies surrounding the central character, but despite all that being different, the race of the Batman is so close between these two.
Exactly. Let's talk about the guy who actually did steal the show, though.
Jim Carrey, bro?
Which is Jim Carrey. Yeah.
Oh, man. Do you want to go first on this one?
I'll let you go first. Go ahead.
Okay. Man, I got to tell you. Jim Carrey, I fucking love him. I've always loved Jim Carrey. I don't know what it is. The thing is, whenever you're a kid, I watched a lot of Looney Tunes, watched a lot of Bugs Bunny. There was early Cartoon Network had no original programming. Mm-hmm. So I grew up in this weird time in the 90s where we were able to see so many Looney Tunes growing up. So when Jim Carrey starts to get big, he's like this live-action Looney Tune.
Right,
and I fucking love it. I eat it up. Mask, Ace Ventura. I think Ace Ventura 1 and 2 I saw more than anything, probably. More than Batman, maybe. Just because I always love comedy. I don't know what it is. Maddie doesn't understand that. Anyway, Dumb and Dumber I've seen 1 billion times. There's something about Jim Carrey. I like that slapstick humor. A lot of people say it's stupid humor. I happen to love overacting. I think it's great.
It's perfect for this.
They went for Adam Westfield. Why not? I dressed up as the Riddler for Halloween. His Riddler for Halloween when I was a kid.
You didn't tell me this. Okay.
Yeah. My mom made the suit. My mom sews.
Oh, okay.
So my mom made the fucking suit.
Do you have the red wig too?
I didn't have the red wig,
okay.
But I had the mask. I think I had some sort of plastic cane too.
Okay.
But the thing is, it was tight spandex, and when I was a kid, I wore it to this Halloween. party at school, and it was just too tight. It was just, I remember being uncomfortable. Well, it wasn't like I couldn't breathe, but it was just, it's
things showing.
Yeah, things showing, man. It's like too much, dude. But I just love.
That's why you got to wear a cup.
Yes, or what do you call it? Dance belt.
Oh yeah,
that's what they call it. Yeah.
No, I wear a cup whenever I wear the bat suit.
Oh shit! All right. Well, anyway, I fucking love it. I love this performance of Jim Carrey. It's way over the top, but it should be. And I mean, God, is there anything bad about this performance? I mean, I'm gushing. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, he's the ultimate successor to Frank Gorshin.
Yes.
Absolutely. There's, I would say, under the whole theme of this being an underrated movie, I'd say Riddler's probably one of the more underrated Batman villains, this version. Because there's a lot that they added to this character that I've got prepared here as my notes, but there's a lot that they've added here that nobody really talks. Everyone's just like, okay, yeah, this is Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey and being Ace Ventura as the Riddler or whatever. It's bullshit. Or like, there's stuff that they added to the Riddler mythos, and the main thing is there's an interesting origin that they take with this. I've never really been impressed with the Riddler's origin in the comics. And all the comic versions I've read, it's just like, I love puzzles. I'm a genius. I can take on Batman. I'm going to become a criminal.
Right.
There's no depth to it. And funny enough, as cartoonish as these movies seem to be, they could have easily done that.
Right.
But instead, they took a different route. They went with the whole The Bachelors when they were writing the script. Just to give you a preview of the next episode. But they said, if we have to do two villains, then we have to make one be Batman's villain. And that means the Riddler has to be Bruce Wayne's villain.
Love it. I mean, that's good writing. This sounds like people that know what they're doing.
Yeah. So while Two-Face has the vendetta against Batman, Riddler involves Bruce Wayne, and it sort of flips the comic book origin that typically happens with villains, or just like, I hate you, Batman. Well, now it's about the alter ego, and trying to be better than him, better than being the smartest man in the world, being a better businessman and everything. And that feels way more deep than what we got in the comics. Also, as you might have noticed, it actually gave an explanation to why Riddler has a costume. I've talked about this on the podcast before, but Riddler in the comics doesn't really have much of a dual identity. Sure, he's known as Edward Nygma outside the costume, but everybody kind of knows that he's the Riddler. He doesn't really have a double life.
He's not really hiding who he is.
Right.
It doesn't really matter. That's not the riddle for him.
Exactly, but in this movie, he is. He has a secret identity.
Right.
He's trying to be like Bruce Wayne. He even dresses up in the same tux. Gets the mole thing.
Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
I did not notice that ever until this viewing. I did not notice that when I was a kid. I guess I was not a very smart kid. I don't know.
Right.
But him trying to copy Bruce Wayne, that's just something I did not pick up on. I don't know.
Well, I think it's also just because this doesn't seem like the type of movie on first viewing that would have a lot of depth to it. So to have that type of elements in there, it's easy to miss because you're not looking for it.
Especially when you're 11.
Oh yeah. Well, that too. But now that we're more mature, hopefully we can see somewhat more mature. We can see like, okay, there's some elements here. Even like the red wig. It's not traditional. It's not part of the comics, but it actually kind of makes sense because it makes him even less recognizable when he switches from Nygma to Riddler. Like, think about how he looks as Nygma to the public and looks as the Riddler. You can kind of look at that and be like, okay, I can kind of see why the public wouldn't necessarily put two and two together.
Right.
So
I love
the
white suit at the end.
Oh yeah,
I think it's great.
It's a little flamboyant for me.
It's flamboyant, but you know what? I'll allow it.
Yeah,
I liked it.
But the thing is, not once have I ever heard another fan acknowledge that Batman Forever gave Edward Nygma an actual reason to wear a costume and have a dual identity. And I actually like that it's part of this version because it makes sense. What I don't like, he doesn't actually use any riddles to preview his crimes. He only uses them to clue Bruce in that he's Edward Nygma.
Right.
But he never actually uses the riddles for the crimes.
Yeah, there's only one. The diamond stealing, diamond heist scene. Real quick, right?
He doesn't even leave a riddle for that.
Doesn't even do anything.
He's just there,
right? Yeah.
We see him commit a bunch of crimes with Two-Face, but we never see him actually leave riddles for Batman to solve in order to get there.
Right.
That's my big problem with that. Let's see, what other stuff do I have? The box. Okay, so this is like a weird, wacky sci-fi thing, which it feels like. But if you look at it from today's context, we have 3D television sets.
I have an Oculus Rift right here.
Right. We have VR. We're also talking about social media and corporations having access to our private information. It's not literally the mind-zapping powers that the box has, but it is about a big businessman having access to all our secrets and spying on us, that type of stuff.
It's good sci-fi concepts.
It's a weird,
right in this movie. Yeah,
it's a weird thing where it's just like, okay, from the context when we grew up with it, I'm like, okay, there's a nice wacky idea for Riddler to be, but now I'm watching it in 2019, and I'm like, oh, this is like a cartoon version of reality in a way of what people are actually concerned about.
I thought the same thing while I was watching it. Yes.
So it's kind of weirdly foreshadowing. In a way, I'd love to see a rebooted version of Riddler that's actually along the lines of this Riddler with the same type of stuff, just done a little less cartoonish, but along the same lines of like social media, that type of stuff.
He's hacking like Facebook's, all that kind of shit.
Like he's a new Zuckerberg. Like that's why a lot of people say that Eisenberg would have been a better Riddler than a Lex Luthor.
My God, man, yeah, are you kidding me? It was ridiculous. Anyway, keep
going. This Riddler also predates the comic book Riddler in finding out that Bruce Wayne is Batman.
Okay.
Because they did that in Hush. In Hush, Riddler at the end says that, hey, I took a dip in the Lazarus pit and it gave me an epiphany, and that epiphany is that Bruce Wayne is Batman.
Okay.
In this one, it's actually a lot better because instead of just having a random epiphany, he actually tricks Bruce Wayne into getting his mind read by the invention. And through that, he figures out that he's Batman.
Hey everybody, it's Andrew. I just wanted to tell you about our friend Israel's retro gaming shop, RetroCo. If you go to retro-ko.com, you'll be able to see all of his retro gaming goodies. If you wanted to get that Sega Saturn hidden gem from back in the day, or if you wanted to get the Famicom disk system that you never got as a kid, or any other type of retro game that you were into, or import game, please go to retroco.com. That's retro-ko.com. And if you use the SuperHouse code Johnson's Ballsack, you'll be able to get a little bit of a discount at checkout. So please, once again, if you could just go to retroco.com. You can also go to facebook.com/retroco with no hyphen. That's RETROKO. You'll be able to find him on Facebook as well. If you were looking for that PlayStation import game that you never got, if you were looking for that Mega Drive game that you never got, or any other kind of retro game, any import game, it could even be European, Israel also curates bundles at RetroCo, and he'll curate that bundle just for you. So please, go check him out. If you put in the code Johnson's Ballsack at checkout, you'll receive a SuperHouse discount.
That part was weird to me because I know that it helps move the plot along and everything, but I just feel like Bruce Wayne wouldn't have fallen for that. Like, he's going to read my mind right now?
Well, I don't think he knew about the reading minds thing, but I mean, I know what you're talking about.
He
that
just
was
fell
not,
into it.
Yeah. He a little too much.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. He wanted to investigate, which is kind of cool, but he was kind of trusting who he thought was Nigma's girlfriend.
Maybe he was somewhat hypnotized while he was in there, and he just couldn't move away.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know. I just thought that kind of it stood out to me.
I don't think they thought that much through.
They probably did not
when they put that in. There's also something ironic about Bruce getting screwed over by an invention that he rejected, and if you look at the specific moment of his getting rejected, it's sure he's like, oh yeah, it raises too many question marks to Edward, but he leaves Edward, ignores him because he sees the bat signal. It's Bruce Wayne creating a villain for himself because he chose Batman.
Right.
So Edward becoming Riddler because Batman lets Batman get in the way of civilian work is kind of a poetic thing.
Right.
Again, nobody really fucking talks about this when it comes to this movie, but it's legit.
No,
it's
there.
Part of
it's
it.
There,
it's part
yes.
of it. The comic book version doesn't have the same layers. It doesn't have any of that elements. It's just literally like, I'm smart. I want to destroy. I want to be a criminal and everything. Like this is how you redo a villain's origin, is through this.
But since then, the Riddler has gotten much more fleshed out, I would assume.
He has. I mean, they talk, but it's not the same. Like they talk about he had an abusive father now who made him tell the truth or something, and that's why he has a compulsion to leave riddles to give clues to himself. I'm like, okay, I get it, but it's not quite the same thing because it's not tied to Batman. There's no version of the Riddler origin that makes it as personal as this movie.
Really? So you think this is one of the better origins?
I think this is one of the better origins.
For Riddler.
The only one better is the one that I pitched, with him being the private investigator who wants to one-up Batman. But I'm kind of biased. Also, Riddler storms Wayne Manor, destroys the Batmobile, forces Batman to choose between a crime-fighting ally and his girlfriend. These are all things that we would see in later Batman movies. We'd see Ra's al Ghul destroy Wayne Manor and storm Wayne Manor. We would see Joker destroy the Batmobile in Dark Knight, and we would see Joker make Batman choose between Harvey Dent and Rachel in that case. We just had a more cartoony version of it years before, but Riddler made him do that. So, like, yes, he's played by Jim Carrey. Yes, he's played by a very over-the-top comedian, but, like, there's so much to this version of Riddler that nobody fucking talks about.
Yeah.
Until this podcast. So, those are my thoughts on Riddler.
Before we go on to the next one,
Yeah.
I actually want to go back to Batman real quick.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, why not, right?
Of course. It is Batman. Yeah.
So, this is the shit that I really want to dig into.
Sure.
What is Bruce Wayne's character arc in this movie? Because you shed some really great light on the other ones, stuff that was taken out from the script, and maybe this is getting into the next episode.
A little bit, but for what we saw of this movie, it seems that he is trying to find the balance between being Bruce Wayne and being Batman.
So, okay. All right.
That's why at the end he says, I had to save them both. I'm both Bruce Wayne and Batman, not because I have to be, but because I choose to be.
He's trying to find balance in his life.
Right. So
via
that's why
his own choices.
Her name is Chase Meridian. That's why you got a villain for Batman, a villain for Bruce Wayne. That's why there's different. There's that battle between Bruce and Batman that's kind of going out throughout the movie. It's a lot more obvious in the original scripts, and I'll go over that in the next episode. But
okay,
it's stuff like, as I already mentioned, he basically creates the Riddler by choosing Batman over Bruce Wayne in the beginning. And then the fact that he can't really make a move as Bruce Wayne without Batman's life coming in the way. Like, Bruce Wayne makes 2 public appearances in this movie, and they get crashed both times by Two-Face.
Right.
Wanting to take down Batman.
Right.
His girlfriend is like in love with his alter ego. At any point, whenever he's like, okay, I got a chance, it's Batman. She's like, no, I like Bruce Wayne. Whenever he thinks he has a chance as Bruce Wayne, she likes Batman. Like, he can't. Like, it's always the other guy getting in the way.
But then he turns to camera and smiles.
And so he turns, which has been memed all over the internet. But yes,
I mean,
so
okay, this makes sense. This stuff gets kind of lost in these movies sometimes. But this
does.
Okay. Yeah.
But wait till I tell you what was originally in it.
Oh my God! Well, stay tuned for the next episode.
Stay tuned
for
the next episode.
Okay, keep going, man. All right, I think we
back
can.
To Batman.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Robin for a bit.
Okay, sounds good.
45-year-old Chris O'Donnell.
Kevin Smith, fucking hilarious joke. I'll repeat his joke, but 45-year-old Chris O'Donnell shows up.
So, as I was telling Andrew through this, Dick Grayson's supposed to be 16.
Yeah.
Chris O'Donnell was 25, but also looks maybe even older than 25.
He looks older than 25, but it was the 90s.
But here's the thing. For a character that everybody's like, oh, God, when you bring in Robin, it lightens it. Robin's subplot in this doesn't actually lighten the movie.
Yeah, it does not.
Robin's part in this movie is actually what makes it serious.
Yeah,
all the stuff with Chris O'Donnell and Val Kilmer, all those scenes with them together, actually makes this movie. It's the over-the-top shit that people give this movie shit about. It's Tommy Lee Jones and Jim Carrey. It's Nicole Kidman sort of like thrusting out her tits in front of Val Kilmer and all that shit. Like, that's what gets people.
Sugar and spice.
Yeah, like it just. And just the bright colors, but like the actual Robin stuff, it's somewhat faithful to the actual Robin story, at least in terms of the circus stuff. Because remember, we could have like not had that if they brought him into Batman Returns. He could have been a mechanic played by Marlon Wayans.
Right.
Yes.
Could have been.
There's a lot of different things that I like about this. There's all the scenes with Dick and Bruce in the Batcave talking about revenge and killing and all that. That's very. That if that stuff wasn't in there, we would probably have less praise for this movie.
I was surprised how good those scenes were, and it's so on target with the source material, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and it's played very well.
Yeah,
by both actors.
It's
I think
very good.
They put some elements. They were telling Chris O'Donnell when they were making this, they were like, "Sure, he's Dick Grayson, but we're trying to put elements of all the different Robins in this.
Yeah,
so the more rebellious side to him is from Jason Todd.
Yeah.
The part that wants to kill Two-Face is actually from Jason Todd, because Jason Todd's dad was killed by Two-Face in the comics.
Right.
They kind of played along with the whole... They established this around the same time as the movie, but I don't know if it's because of the movie or what, but Robin and Two-Face kind of have this weird rivalry going on throughout the comics in each incarnation. So, like, when Dick Grayson was Robin, Two-Face had Batman and a judge hostage and forced Robin to make a choice, and Robin tried to make the right choice, and instead it got the judge killed, and so Dick Grayson is always haunted by Two-Face.
Okay.
And then Two-Face then killed Willis Todd, who was Jason Todd's dad. And so Jason Todd wanted revenge on him. And then when Tim Drake decided he wanted to help out and beat Robin, who was the first villain he had to go up against? Two-Face.
Okay.
So like, there's this weird, like, every Robin who comes in, and there's something poetic about, like, Batman's actual ally versus the guy who used to be his ally.
Okay, right,
type
right,
of thing.
right,
Where I'm just
right.
like, I'm the failed partner.
The writing
type of
just
thing.
works out better that way.
Yeah, something about that. So I like those elements. I like the different shots of Batman and Robin in this. There's the handshake in the Batcave. There's the two caped figures hanging by, when they're hanging by the line when he saves them at the end. There's the silhouettes against the bat signal in the final part. That's pretty epic.
That's a really heroic, epic shot of Robin near the end too. It's better than most of the Batman shots. Shots.
Yeah, no, it's the only thing is the actual Robin I didn't really notice until this viewing, but I'm just like, there's something almost too anatomically correct about Robin's costume.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's what can you say?
Maybe that's why he's 25 and not 16. Because if he was 16, that'd be a little
too much. Yeah,
if it was that suit,
it's ambiguous in the movie, but the suit is it was the director's choice, Schumacher's choice, whatever. But it's just not the decision I would have made. And also the Robin suits, the circus suits too. They have the same thing. It's got this
it's the
anatomically correct thing going on.
Oh yeah. Oh well. You're talking about the traditional
Jareth from Labyrinth kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I was talking more about like how his muscles were outlined and everything. Like there's even a part where you can see like the sculpted ass of Robin as the cape goes up. And I'm not even talking about the ass shot of Batman in the new sonar suit. Like there's another ass shot. I'm like, what the hell? Like I didn't need to see that.
Yeah. I mean, okay.
Speaking of changed costumes in that one, Forever also gives a story explanation. This is before Dark Knight. It beat Dark Knight to giving a story explanation of Batman switching costumes.
Oh, yeah, true, yeah.
In a way that kind of actually made more sense. It was just like,
This is the first one the costume changed, right? The other Batman Returns and Batman 89
Yeah, this is the first time where he wears a different costume at the end.
Yeah.
And he has lenses. Remember in Dark Knight where he has those lenses type thing to look better?
True.
This is the first time we actually had the lenses in the Batsuit. So, again, this is another example of Batman Forever being ahead of its time.
So when he uses the sonar, when he has that riddle he gives to the Riddler,
yeah,
I remember in the theater as a kid, I'm 11. Actually, I was still probably 10 because my birthday's in August. It came out in July or something, right?
Yeah.
I remember thinking, really, the answer to his riddle is bats? Really?
I don't think he was trying to be clever there. I think he was just being dramatic at that point. It's the showmanship part
but it was just still like, you could have been clever and dramatic.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's true.
It was just I remember thinking that in the theater. That's all I got to say.
Yep. All right. Well, we got one last character left.
Woo! Who is it? Spice?
Two-Face.
Oh, yeah, him. Dude, okay. So
take it away, Andrew.
I'm surprised at how little he's explained. Almost none. It's one shot of the news thing.
Yeah.
Him in the courtroom, the classic origin, like you said, off air. And other than that, like, he talk about one-dimensional, man. He is pretty one-dimensional.
He just wants to kill Batman, and that's it. Yeah,
that's it. Which I respect them not taking 40 minutes of our fucking lives trying to explain him left and right, and like his backstory with Bruce and all that. Like, I get how they want to get to the punch. By the way, great opening. Opens right on a huge 20-minute action sequence. Mm-hmm. That's good. I would take that with every Batman movie, but. They could have done more with this, and Tommy Lee Jones is like, even when I was a kid to this day, sort of miscast, kind of like he's okay, and the makeup too is. It said Rick Baker did the makeup for this, so
I think so, yeah.
So respect to him, but it just kind of feels like it could have been better. I don't know what it is. Like the colors too, purple and pink, just so strange.
It's very garish.
Yeah,
there's a very garish element to the way that the villains look in this.
Yeah,
like even the shade of green on Riddler next to Two-Face. I'm watching it. I'm just like, geez, they really went over the top with the colors here.
Yeah, and you know what? They could have, like, people talk about that rumor. I think a lot of people listening to this might already know this, since everybody's fucking nerds listening to this podcast, just like us. Mm-hmm. But that rumor that Tommy Lee Jones is really going over the top to combat
Jim
Carrey.
Yeah.
This was before Men in Black, right? So he probably should have taken a page from his Men in Black performance, where it's like, no, man, you're funny because you're understated. It would have been totally...
Yeah.
And scarier too, and I know this movie isn't super scary, but there's some scary elements to the movie. I mean, that shot of the bat was scary as fuck to me when I was a kid, flapping in the darkness. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I feel like they could have. He could have, instead of competing with him, he could have chosen something else.
Been the straight man to Carrey. And everything.
Please, yes.
Yeah. I mean, the character is kind of written a little bit over the top in the script, so it's I can see where he went with that. I mean, there's not really much I can say about Two-Face that hasn't already been said either online or by Andrew just now. It's not my preferred take on Two-Face. I think if you're going to do Two-Face, you absolutely have to introduce it through the origin. If you don't do it through the origin, you eliminate so much shit about the backstory, about how they used to be friends and everything. There's not a lot of exploration of that in this movie. Also because you're trying to also set up Riddler and Robin and Chase Meridian and everything. But like, yes, I mean, Two-Face, other than Chase Meridian, is way more underdeveloped than Robin and Riddler in this movie. A few things, though, that I think get overlooked about this version of Two-Face is he brings up a lot of the comic book elements of Two-Face that we still, to this day, have not seen in live action yet. Because in The Dark Knight, yes, I mean, Aaron Eckhart I thought was great as Two-Face, but he was Two-Face for 5 minutes in this.
Yeah.
It's hard to compare, but like...
That realistic, like, half CGI face was, to this day, incredible.
Yeah, no,
That's a different version.
I prefer that, yeah. However, like, if I'm being fair here, the Tommy Lee Jones Two-Face is a more comic book accurate Two-Face. You got the two-tone suits.
That is true.
You got the two-tone suits. Eckhart's Two-Face kind of had one, but it was more like it was burnt. It just happened to be burnt in halfway, as opposed to like Tommy Lee Jones actually has a whole bunch of the two-tone suits. That's like the comics. He's got the two-themed crime. Second Bank of Gotham on the second anniversary of Gotham. He's got his own gang of thugs. This is the only time that we got to see the courtroom origin.
Yeah, that's true.
Two-Face.
That's true.
Didn't do it in the animated series. Didn't do it in Dark Knight. Which also makes me wonder. I'm just like, what's the point of having Boss Maroni around if you don't actually have him be the guy to throw the acid in his face? But whatever. They say that's Boss Maroni. You even have Batman in the courtroom.
Yeah, which is wild.
Which is wild, but if you look at the 40s comics, that's exactly how it turned out. So it was actually a really, to be fair, it is probably the most faithful adaptation of a villain origin in these movies so far.
Ever.
Yeah. It's just a villain origin, because they didn't do the Red Hood. They didn't do the Red Hood with Joker in '89, and then Penguin and Catwoman they did their own thing, and then Riddler obviously they did their own thing. But this time I'm just like, oh, this is a really accurate version of Two-Face. It's you can argue about how well it was done. It was kind of just like, okay, it's just kind of a just casually thrown in there in the TV show, but it's done that.
Yeah.
He has the dual themed hideout, which is an element that does date back to his first appearance. He had that in his first appearance.
I forgot all about that, man.
It's even in The Dark Knight Returns.
Drew Barrymore.
Yeah. He doesn't... There's hints at a dual personality, because he keeps talking about we or using us, like,
Yeah.
multiple people type of thing. Love the shot of the close-up of the coin going up and flipping in the air in the beginning to introduce him.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
And then just in general, the makeup, even though I do prefer Eckhart's look in Dark Knight,
Yeah.
it's a little bit more traditional and in line. You don't see bone. It's one sort of uniform color. Yes, it looks like he got painted with purple paint, but whatever. It's how it looked like in the comics. And then
Was
the
he always
hair,
pink and purple?
It
side?
always changed. So he is green, I think, in the first appearance.
He's like a bluish green in the animated series, right?
But I think he was the first. Yeah, he was green in the 40s comics.
Okay.
Whenever the purple is unique to the Schumacher Two-Face.
Okay.
Just like the bright red hair and that shade of green on Riddler is unique to that Riddler. But this is he's even got the wild discolored hair on the scarred side too. So
Yeah,
it is more comic accurate, even if I don't prefer this over the Eckhart Two-Face. I can say like this is a more traditional version of Two-Face.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean I do wish for a movie about duality. This was a character they could have done a lot more with.
That is true. The guy that can't find balance at all between his two personalities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also weirdly another influence on Dark Knight here, where like he's also called Harvey Two-Face, and there's the whole Two-Face falls to his death, and then the coin lands on the good side. I'm sure you noticed that too.
Yes.
And I'm like, that looks familiar.
So I remember being so impressed as a kid in the theater when he just throws all those coins up. I just thought that was so cool. I thought that was a fucking great scene, man. It impressed me as a kid, and when I saw it today again, I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. It's a cool way to exploit your villain's mental state.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Instead of throwing a punch at him, throw these coins in and it makes the guy go fucking nuts.
Well, if you think about it, like I'm thinking about how Keaton defeated the villains, and a lot of times it was through gadgets, it was through different fights, things like that. Kilmer that was him using his brain.
Yeah. That's why I
would
like
say that the Schumacher Batman may actually be a smarter Batman than the Burton version.
I'd say at least for Forever. I got to see Batman and Robin.
Okay, well, we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Forever, I think I might agree with you on that one, actually. We have a lot of hot takes today.
Yes.
But I think you're probably right.
I think a lot of fans who hate this movie are like listening to this and blowing like their brains out. They're like, what the fuck?
Fucking Batman Forever nerds over here. Never heard of this before.
I mean, look, we're not saying it's the best Batman movie. We're just saying that there's so much more to appreciate about it that nobody talks about because they're too busy talking about the nipples on the suit, which does not really make it a bad movie. It's just a choice that puts it over the top.
Look, like we said with the Robin design choices, that's also another design choice that I personally would not have made. I would not have put nipples on the bat suit. That is
Earring
ridiculous.
on Dick Grayson.
Earring. You know what? That's fine. I actually would let that go. It's just the nipples on the bat suit really is not the way to go. But
but also like I
there's
don't really notice it.
There's so much else good about this movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
At the end of the day, yes, very much. I mean, it's so weird. Like looking back, man. Like there was such a long period of time where people just shat on this film because I think also Batman and Robin's legacy, quote unquote, taints this movie.
Yeah,
retroactively.
I think so too.
Yeah.
A lot of people get them mixed up because Robin shows up in this one and they think it's called Batman and Robin.
Yes.
Which would probably make more sense, to be honest, but still, that's not how it turned out.
It should have maybe even had the names changed, man. But
maybe,
yes.
It'd be ironic to call the last movie Batman Forever, and we're like, whoops, that destroyed the franchise.
Yeah, true. Well, they didn't know that at the time.
Yeah, no, of course not.
Going back to whenever he throws the coins up,
yeah,
seeing this today, I kind of wish that Batman had made some effort at least to shoot the grappling hook and try to get his gun to grab his leg before he fell down or something to save Two-Face, because I know it's his fault for going after the coins,
right?
But it kind of seems like Batman should have known that he was going to fall from doing that. So it's almost like he straight up kills Two-Face.
Yeah, it's weird. It plays off like he killed Two-Face and robbed Robin of his revenge.
Yeah,
because whenever I see that scene, I always feel uncomfortable when it has a close-up on Robin, and I guess it's supposed to be Robin feeling like he got avenged, but I'm like, well, no, I think he's feeling like he got cheated because fucking Bruce decided he was going to... Because Bruce spends the whole movie being like, so you're willing to take a life, don't do it, you'll be in the dark, and then he just flat out just does it in front of him.
It's not written well, man. That part's not... I know we're...
It doesn't quite add up. So, that's another thing. This is the first time in live action that Batman's brought up not taking a life.
Yeah.
Keaton never really talks that much about it. He tries to stop Selina from killing Max Schreck, but that's also like maybe 20 minutes after he shoved that bomb down that guy's... He shoved that bomb down that strong man's pants. So I'm like, I don't know, dude. Like, at least in this one, he doesn't really... He's not as blatantly at fault for anything. Like, yeah, he does move the Batmobile out of the way and Two-Face's thing hits the car behind him, but... I don't think Batman necessarily knew that was going to happen either. Like it's kind of ambiguous. The Two-Face one is the only thing that really bothers me.
Schumacher's got a more comic book accurate Batman.
he might. I mean, this Batman feels like more of the comic book superhero.
Yeah.
Than the Burton one, to be frank with everybody on this. But that is
cool urban legend, cool stuff Batman. This is back to 60s. Or sort of cheesy comic book Batman, but still lovable Batman.
Yeah, this is the very competent Batman who he can be a detective, as we saw. There's some detective stuff. It's not blatant, but it's in there. But he's also a pro fighter. He's got all the gadgets and everything. He can be a mentor to Dick Grayson. He can, he can be the Playboy Bruce Wayne. Like there's a lot of stuff in here that we just frankly just didn't get from the Burton one.
Yeah.
And again, nobody really fucking talks about it, but it's like you can't deny the facts.
Yeah.
So that brings me to the final question: ranking. Where do you rank Batman for? We're not obviously Mask of the Phantasm I've eliminated that from any ranking because we're always going to rank that number one. Batman Forever. How does it rank for you between B89 and Batman Returns?
It's like I said earlier in the podcast. I used to have the hot take of Forever being better than Returns, but I think I officially retract that. And it just goes in order. I'm 89, Returns, and then Forever. But Forever is really enjoyable.
Yeah.
People have shot on this movie for too long. Matty used to have this thing that he never really got off the air or got working on the podcast, but we were going to have this section called "Was it really that bad?" or something like that.
I think we just did it for him.
And so this is kind of like that. Like this, like you've heard over the past hour of this podcast. There's a lot good for it. There's a lot good going on in this movie. It's a little below Returns, but not much lower.
Right. Okay. So with Batman Returns, I rank that above B89, if you guys didn't get a chance to listen to that one. I agree with Andrew in that I would rank Batman Forever below the Burton ones. Despite the fact that there's a lot of good to it, it does try to focus more on Bruce Wayne. However, it just doesn't quite have the same emotional story or arc to it that the Catwoman arc did in Batman Returns, nor does it really have the sort of... I hate to say uniformity, but I don't know what else to call it. But like Batman 89 just feels like one solid dark movie with a few cartoonish elements in it, whereas this one is just all over the place. It's a cartoon with the villains who are supposed to be threatening, and it's super serious at times. It's a comedy. It's supposed to be for kids, but then also has some weird sexual innuendos. Like it's all over the place. So I would rank Batman Forever below the Burton movies. However, if they actually brought to life what was in the original drafts, and they did it as well as if they did it in a slightly different direction, it could have been better than the Burton movies.
What a excellent segue to the next episode that we will do. Are we going to get into the novelization as well?
We're going to get into the novelization too, yeah.
All right, guys, look. Definitely check out the next episode, the part 2 of this for that, because that shit Ben and I have talked a little bit about this.
Yeah.
That shit's fucking fascinating.
Yes.
So stay tuned for that, and I think we're going to wrap it up here for this one. This has been Andrew and co-host.
This is Ben Juan, the co-host now. Senior Batman co-host of Superhouse.
He leveled up recently. It should have happened a long time ago. We are just bad at that. Anyway, catch us out on patreon.com/SuperHousePodcast, patreon.com/SuperHousePodcast. We're on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. We update our Facebook the most as far as our social media engagement currently. Instagram being number 2. Twitter we don't really give a fuck about, but we're there.
Yeah.
And other than that, I'm Thunderwolf Drew on Twitter and Instagram.
I am Ben Juan Ryder on Instagram, where I either talk about Superhouse or my cats, or I promote being a dating coach. So it's very eclectic.
Actually, can you spell out Ben Juan?
Sure, BenWan, and then Ryder as in writing, so WRITER.
Yeah.
I tell people Ben Juan Ryder, and they usually write RIDER. I'm like, what do you think I write?
Horses, man. I think that's going to do it for this time. Oh, thank you, Shasta, of course, for always being there on our Patreon. And I think that's going to do it. This is Andrew signing off.
This is Ben signing off.
I got your mind twisted. Unrealistic wavelength draining on your brain strength inflicted. Crosswords puzzling your doubt, questioning your own mental health. Yeah, it's like a maze within itself. Yeah, check the grimy, slimy, criminal individuality, searching for the dark night, lurking in the shadows of the city. Hero with Jiggy, my crime committee, robbing every golf and piggy bank blind. Take a journey through the mind of a Riddler. Once again, Mr. Mindbender, 3-time felony offender, demented, brain cemented, mixing the blender, illusion, mass confusion, question marks, clues in what, where, why, who's in, quiz, time to ask yourself who it is, shiesty be low, underhanded biz, invaded brothers' wigs.